I was having a conversation with my friend Joel Dick about just the future of folk filmmaking, the future of making films, and it got me thinking about a story, something that happened to me a few months ago, and basically it's about why I rejected Hollywood. What ended up happening is I made a film called The Long Con, and I was reached out to through social media by someone who was a producer and basically said, "Oh, we really love The Long Con," and he's showing me stuff where he's watching the film in some giant theater and is like, "Yo, we really, really like this film. We want to adapt this and make this into a bigger movie." Um, and they wanted to bring me on board. And this is like what every indie filmmaker I think has in their head is the dream of like Hollywood calls you and they want you to do a movie and there's going to be a producer. And one of the people that was attached on the project was a guy who worked on, I'm not going to say which one, but one of the superhero movies that is popular. It was a major person on that, was working in that, and was interested in potentially, I think, being part of the production in some way. And basically, the big thing was they wanted me to take my script, The Long Con, and make it and rewrite it with them. And basically, they would hire out a writer, and I would be the co writer on it, and basically tweak everything up until it got to a point where it was much more solid in their eyes. And I remember being really, really excited at first, but then there was like this sinking feeling in my chest because I was like, I don't know if I can do this because I had already had spent 3.5, 4 years on the long con. I already had gotten through that process, and I was like, I felt really happy with the movie I made. The movie that I made was the movie I wanted to make, and ultimately there's little errors in it, but like I don't think that I could have made the movie any more different. And it was when the producer was like, "Hey, we really like this, but we can't really bring any of the cast back." And the guy who plays one of the characters, the one that I was very, very attached to, basically said this guy was terrible and we could totally recast him and get someone way better. And that was the point where I realized that I could not go through with this offer because there was a few things. First of all, it was a promise to nowhere. A lot of these projects that producers will involve you in, they'll say you're going to get $100,000 or you're going to get this, or you're going to get that. But you're gonna have to put in all the legwork first, and you're gonna have to invest 2 years of your life, and you might not end up getting anything in the long run. That's pretty common in Hollywood deals like that. The second thing is they wanted to sort of corrupt the creative control that I had. Basically, they didn't want me to be the director and they didn't want me to be the main writer. They just wanted the story idea and they wanted me to be like a co-writer and someone who kind of like checks and balances. So it was like giving away my idea and giving it to someone who would have way more control over it. And then I wouldn't have the crew I wanted, I wouldn't have the cinematographer I wanted. I basically would just be a nobody within my own project. And I think this tells you that, like, it's not like reject Hollywood on the basis of it just being a Hollywood deal. I think there are many good, situations where if you are a creative person, if you are a person who has the ability to control what you can control, you can work with Hollywood and make something good. I think there's great films like, look, Christopher Nolan, even though within the Hollywood system, his auteur vision still prevails. I think the point is do what makes you happy. And the main thing that made me pull the trigger on telling this producer no was the 12 features project. I basically had to choose between the 12 features or rewriting the script because there really was not going to be any way that I was going to be able to work constantly and interact with this producer on a daily basis, rewriting a script that I had already been working on for 5 years, and then also working on the 12 features. And I started to question what makes me happy as a person. And it makes me think about this time when I worked for a wedding company and I was very deeply unhappy making these wedding videos for this company. And I ended up turning away a decent amount of money doing that because it just didn't make me happy. And it was at the moment it seemed like the wrong decision. It was like, I'm gonna be throwing away all this money just because I don't feel happy about it. But instantly, within like weeks, my life kind of got a lot better because I was able to focus on what I truly care about, which is like stuff like 92 films. And so for me, I guess this video is not to say you should reject Hollywood. It's not to say that you should not want to, do stuff with Hollywood, or you shouldn't want to make films at a bigger scale. I think a lot of people have that aspiration, but I think that the aspirations can be brought down to a realistic scale that you can do absolutely right now. You don't need to be someone who has to have $100,000 to make this movie. And my friend Joel Haver did a great video on just his kind of belief system on filmmaking. And I think that the $0 budget film, the idea that basically it costs nothing other than like some gas and some food, that's all you really need to do to make a really good film these days. Especially within the folk filmmaking movement, you can make film, distribute everything for free, and you can get a lot of people's eyes on those type of projects. So I think that what I'm trying to say here is that do what makes you happy. If that means making a film with Hollywood, if that means making a movie on a bigger scale or through Kickstarter, or do whatever you need to do to raise the correct funds, go and do that. But I really don't think you need to. I think you can do everything you have with $0. And if I was going to add anything to what Joel said, I think it's just do what makes you the happiest as a filmmaker. And if I can influence that in any way, it would basically be to agree with Joel, which is make films for as low as you can, because you're going to be able to make more films, you're going to be able to practice more, you're going to be able to get better as a creator, and you're going to have a lot more fun with your friends. And ultimately, what did you get into making filmmaking in the first place for? Was it for corporations and money, or was it for the memories, the fun you had with friends, the ability to tell great stories, the ability to make great cinematography? That's what I got into filmmaking about. And so no matter what, even if Christopher Nolan or something came to my door and knocked on it and was like, hey, I want you to be in a movie or work on a movie with me, unless it felt right to me, I don't know if I'd do it. I mean, that's basically what I think you should do as a filmmaker, is always judge what you're doing based on, does it make me happy? And if that makes you happy and that's a project that makes you feel fulfilled, then go and do it. But don't feel that you have to just because it is a big offer. And I know a lot of folk filmmakers are probably going to be, they're talented people and they're going to get these offers. And I think that whatever I'd have to say in general is basically do what makes you happiest. And if you can do that, you're going to be a very successful filmmaker. So thank you guys for watching this video. I think that if you want to, there's some other videos you can check out around here somewhere, and have a good one.